The year was 622 CE. A man by the name Muhammad and his followers decided to migrate up north to a neighboring town by the name of Medina, leaving all of their goods and properties behind. This was following years of persecution by the Quraysh tribe in Mecca, who massively opposed the Muslims' idea of one God, as they themselves were pagans, and were aspiring to shut down any attempt of the Prophet expanding his following. The Quraysh planned to do this by any means necessary, either by killing them or pressuring them to leave their faith. In addition, they had planned to assassinate the Muslims, which further pressured them into leaving their hometown. After the Hijra migration to Medina in 622 CE, the population of Medina chose Muhammad to be the leader of the community. Muhammad's followers decided to raid the caravans of the Meccans as they passed by Medina. This decision was taken in response to the Meccans' persecution of the Muslims and their forceful seizing of Muslim land and property following the Hijra. A few years later, in early 624, a caravan of the Quraysh led by Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, carrying wealth and goods from the Levant, possibly modern-day Gaza, was returning to Mecca. It was carrying merchandise worth 50,000 dinars and guarded by 70 men. The caravan was extraordinarily large, possibly because several smaller caravans may have grouped together for safety. All the leading Meccan financiers had a share in this trading venture, and thus had a strong interest in it returning. Muhammad learned of the caravan and decided to intercept it for two reasons. First was the continuation of the policy to recover wealth from the Quraysh, as the Quraysh had confiscated Muslims' properties in Mecca after the Hijra. Secondly, a successful attack would impress the Meccans and could act as a deterrent against a future attack on Medina. Muhammad had gathered a small expeditionary force of around 300 men to intercept the caravan. Abu Sufyan's spies informed him of the Muslims' plot to ambush his caravan. Fearing the loss of wealth that was imminent, Abu Sufyan sent the messenger Damdam bin Amr al-Ghafari to the Quraysh. Damdam, upon his arrival at the Kaaba, cut off the nose and ears of his camel, turned its saddle upside down, tore off his shirt and cried. Abu Sufyan sent word to Mecca that the caravan was in danger, asking for reinforcements to cover the caravan as it passed by Medina. Traditional Muslim sources write that Abu Sufyan's spies had informed him of Muslim preparations to attack, a view accepted by Ramadan. But what rights given that it took the Meccan army a week to get to Badr? Abu Sufyan must have sent his request before the Muslim preparations began. What points out Abu Sufyan was one of the most astute men in Mecca and must have anticipated the Muslim attack. O Quraysh, your merchandise. It is with Abu Sufyan. The caravan is being intercepted by Muhammad and his companions. I cannot say what would have happened to them. Help! Help! All of the clans of the Quraysh, except the Banu Adi, quickly assembled an excited army of around 1,300 men, 100 horses, and a large number of camels. Moving swiftly towards Badr, they passed the valleys of Usfan, Kadid, and Al-Jufa. At Al-Jufa, another messenger from Abu Sufyan informed them of the safety of their merchandise and wealth. Upon receiving this message, the Meccan army expressed delight and showed a desire to return home. Abu Jahl was not interested in returning and insisted on proceeding to Badr and holding a feast there to show the Muslims and the surrounding tribes that they were superior. Despite Abu Jahl's threat and insistence, the Banu Zara, numbering around 300, broke away from the army and returned to Mecca on the advice of Al-Aknaz ibn Shuraik. Muhammad's clan, the Banu Hashim, also attempted to break away, but were threatened by Abu Jahl to stay. Many of the Qurayshi nobles, including Abu Jahl, Al-Walid ibn Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, and Umayyah ibn Khalaf, joined the Meccan army. Their reasons varied. Some were out to protect their financial interests in the caravan. Others wanted to avenge Ibn al-Hadrami, a guard killed in one of the caravan ambushes at Nakhla. Finally, a few must have wanted to take part in what was expected to be an easy victory against the Muslims. Amr ibn Hisham is described as shaming Umayyah ibn Khalaf into joining the expedition. Abu Sufyan had rerouted his caravan toward the Red Sea and escaped the Muslim threat by Damdam's arrival at Mecca. Muhammad was able to gather an army of 313 to 317 men. Sources vary upon the exact number, but the generally accepted number is 313. This army consisted of 82 Muhajirin, 61 men from the Adl and 170 men from the Khazraj. They were not well equipped for a major conflict nor prepared. They only had 2 horses, and those belonged to Zubair ibn Alawam and Al-Miqdad ibn Ammar. The entire army had 70 camels, meaning that they had 1 camel for 2 to 3 men to ride alternatively. The army was divided into 2 battalions, one of the 82 Muhajirin and the other of the 231 Ansar. The flag of the Muhajirin was carried by Ali ibn Abu Talib, while that of the Ansar was carried by Sa'd ibn Mu'adiyah. Az Zubair commanded the right flank, while Al-Miqdad commanded the left, and the rear of the army was commanded by Qays bin Abi Sasea. The Quraysh had encamped in the southeastern portion of the valley near the road to Mecca, while Muhammad and his army had encamped at some date palms in the north. They had taken a well near the center of the western margin of Al-Abd al-Dunya and destroyed the other wells near the road to Medina to prevent the Meccans from getting any water. With Muhammad in the lead, the army marched out along the main road to Mecca from the north. At Safra, he dispatched Bazbaz al-Yuhani and Adi al-Yuhani to scout for the Quraysh. On the night of March 11th, 15 Ramadan, it had rained over the battlefield and the surrounding region. Muslims believe this was a blessing from Allah for the believers and a curse for the disbelievers, who suffered hardship in trying to climb the muddy slope. While little is known about the progress of the Qurayshi army from the time it left Mecca until its arrival just outside Badr, several things are worth noting. Although many Arab armies brought their women and children along on campaigns both to motivate and care for the men, the Meccan army did not. The Quraysh apparently made little or no effort to contact the many allies they had scattered throughout the Hijaz. Both facts suggest the Quraysh lacked the time to prepare for a proper campaign in their haste to protect the caravan. Besides, it is believed they expected an easy victory. Since Muhammad's army had either destroyed or taken all the wells in the city, a few Meccans approached the well controlled by Muslims to draw out water. All were shot except Hakim ibn Hizam, who later accepted Islam. At midnight on March 13th, 17 Ramadan, the Quraysh broke camp and marched into the valley of Badr. Umair ibn Wahb al-Jamahi made a survey of the Muslim position and reported 300 men keen on fighting to the last man. After another scouting mission, he reported that neither were the Muslims going to be reinforced, nor were they planning any ambushes. This further demoralized the Quraysh, as Arab battles were traditionally low-casualty affairs, and set off another round of bickering among the Qurayshi leadership. However, according to Arab traditions, Ammar ibn Hisham quashed the remaining dissent by appealing to the Qurayshi's sense of honor and demanding that they fulfill their blood vengeance. The battle began with Al-Aswad bin Abdullah Sa'd al-Makhzumi, one of the men from Abu Jahl's clan, the Banu Makhzum, swearing that he would drink from the well of the Muslims or otherwise destroy it or die for it. In response to his cries, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, one of Muhammad's uncles, came out and they began fighting in a duel. Hamza struck Al-Aswad's leg before dealing him another blow that killed him. Seeing this, 3 men protected by armor and shields, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, alongside his brother, Shayba ibn Rabi'ah and son, Al-Walid ibn Utbah, emerged from the Meccan ranks. 3 of the Madani Ansar emerged from the Muslim ranks, only to be shouted back by the Meccans, who were nervous about starting any unnecessary feuds and only wanted to fight the Muhajirin, keeping the dispute within the tribe. So Hamza approached and called on Ubaidah ibn al-Harith and Ali ibn Abu Talib to join him. The first 2 duels between Ali and Al-Walid and Hamza and Shayba were quick, with both managing to kill their opponents swiftly. After the fight between Ali and Walid, Hamza looked at Ubaidah to find him seriously wounded. He then fell upon and killed Shayba. Ali and Hamza then carried Ubaidah back into the Muslim lines. He died later due to a disease. A shower of arrows from both sides followed these duels, and this was followed by several other duels, most of which were won by the Muslims. The Meccans now took the offensive and charged upon the Muslim lines. As shields and swords clashed, the Muslims stood their ground, despite being outnumbered. After a while of fighting, the Maccan forces retreated to gather themselves and reorganize their forces. Then they charged against the Muslim lines again. This time the Maccans managed to slightly push back the Muslims' forces, but they managed to maintain form as they were fighting the Maccans, holding them downhill. The Maccans pulled back once again to reorder themselves, and led their third charge against the Muslim lines, hoping to finally defeat them. The Meccans were attempting to retreat and regroup once more, but Muhammad gave the order to carry out a counterattack against the enemy now, throwing a handful of pebbles at the Meccans in what was probably a traditional Arabian gesture while yelling, "Defaced be those faces." 28, 29, or confusion seized their faces. 9. The Muslim army yelled in reply, "Ya man Ramit," meaning, "O thou whom God hath made victorious, slay," and rushed the Qurayshi lines. The Meccans, under strength and unenthusiastic about fighting, promptly broke and ran and returned back to Mecca, making the Muslims victorious on that day after a few hours of battle. Despite scholars estimating Meccan casualties at around 70, only the names of the more prominent ones are known. However, the names of the 14 Muslims who were killed during the course of the war or later, due to injuries sustained during the war, are all known. 3 days after the battle, Muhammad left Badr for Medina. Some 70 prisoners were taken captive and are noted to have been treated humanely, including a number of Quraysh leaders. Most of the prisoners were released upon payment of ransom, and those who were literate were released on the condition that they teach 10 persons how to read and write, and this teaching was to count as their ransom. The Battle of Badr was extremely influential in the rise of Islam, what determined the course of Arabian history in the next century. Muhammad was transformed overnight from a Meccan outcast into the leader of a new community and city-state at Medina. And it also showed strength and made themselves an upcoming force to be reckoned with in the Arabian Peninsula. And that's it for today. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you're notified when we next upload. See you next time.